So yeah, welcome everyone, and many thanks for joining us today for this exciting webinar with the LONGi team to discuss the topic of the LONGi Hi-MO4 module range, and including the brand new bifacial Hi-MO4 module that is, as you may be aware, it's exclusive to BayWa, so we thank LONGi for the privilege of supporting this rather unique and special panel. My name, for those who maybe not familiar with the face, since it's been a while since maybe we've crossed paths, my name's Gonzalo Muslera, the National Sales Director for BayWa, and I'll be the host for this webinar today. With me, I've got my illustrious Managing Director, Yildiz, who will be presenting on behalf of BayWa. And he'll provide you with an overview of what we do in Australia and how we can help you as installers around the country. Together with Durmus, we have the team from LONGi. We have Richard, Betty and Zane, who will be presenting on the Hi-MO4 module range and introducing the brand new bifacial module. At the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A session, and as I mentioned just at the top of the hour, that by all means you can lodge your questions or comments on the menu bar down on the bottom of your screen. Just please make sure that you type your questions in the Q&A section so we can monitor them as they come in. So with that, a little quick introduction, I'll hand over to Durmus, and he'll make a quick introduction. So over to you, Durmus.
Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us at this webinar. And yeah, as Gonzalo said, it is really nice to be able to present this latest panel from LONGi, and also not that I think anyone needs an introduction into LONGi. They did make their mark from when they joined the market in Australia to catapult themselves into a really extremely high position in the market. And then also, if some people who don't know us, hopefully we can introduce to the people who don't know us what we are doing in Australia with our team, which we have in multiple capital cities around the country. And I think the way we wanted it, just to also to let everyone know, we were hoping we get get Jonathan on board, who was the editor of the PV magazine Australia, but he must have had some personal issues where he couldn't join us. So we will do this a bit more informal with Gonzalo and our marketing team and LONGi. So towards the end of it, when we have discussions, I hope we have a bit of a vibrant conversation. If any of you have questions, please always put it through. We will try and answer them as much as we possible. Yeah. Over to you, Gonzalo.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that, Durmus. Okay, and yeah, maybe I'll take this time to introduce the team at LONGi. So Betty, maybe.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for BayWa's marketing team's support and help us organize this bifacial module webinar. And really happy to see Mr. Gonzalo, Mr. Durmus be the host today and represent the BayWa team. And today, Richard and I, sales and product, we will give our customer an introduction about our LONGi high efficiency panel, also the special one, the 60 cell bifacial one, to our customers. Yeah.
Good. And
so should we start, or we?
Yep. Yes. Please start. Thanks, Betty.
Right. Share the screen. We're gonna share the screen with you guys.
Can you see it? It's in full screen.
Thank you everyone today. So today we will represent LONGi Australia and talk about our LONGi high efficiency panel. Also, Richard will give his idea and the technical part about our bifacial modules. So as you all know, LONGi already joined Australia like 3 or 4 years ago. We start from the Hi-MO1 module from 2016. And then after each year, we got Hi-MO2 bifacial Perk technology. And then we released the Hi-MO3 in 2018 with the monofacial and the bifacial Perk. And it's the half-cut technology. Which increased the power and the reliability of the modules. In 2019, we launched the Hi-MO4 product, which was the 6BB M6 wafer. So that M6 wafer actually developed by LONGi creates a higher density yield from the same area as previous wafer configurations. In the Q2 this year, we actually launched the 9BB Hi-MO4 product on the webinar, also the CEC night. So you can see through the history from the Hi-MO1 to Hi-MO3, we all use the M2 wafer, and become M6 wafer was actually the Hi-MO4 product. The Hi-MO4 72 cell was 440 watts, and now it's already up to 450 watts. Also, we did some marketing campaign about the Hi-MO5 M10 wafers this year. So for the Hi-MO4, it's the advantages we all know. It's got ultra high power, advanced technology, compatible for all rooftop applicants, and higher energy yield. We all know from the history, like sometime Mr. Gonzalo and Durmus, we talk about it was from a long time ago, it's poly, and when we launched the 315 last year, we said, wow, it's a big improvement. Until now, we used M6 wafer, we got a higher efficiency, so it's just 2 or 3 years, a big change for the 60 wafers. And this one is the most popular right now. I think Gonzalo probably sell a lot in Australian market. Is the 370 watt monofacial one with a 20.3% efficiency. I probably think it's the lightest in the market for the 371. The other is probably 20 kilos in the market. Our one is 19.5 kilos. Slightly lighter. Also, it will be, I think it's slightly shorter. I will talk about more in the next slides. So this one, some of the selling point from our point of view is we got 12 years warranty. We got like 15 Australian team member here, support all of our installers, customers. Whenever you have your warranty issue, you feel free to come us. Instead of some others, they probably put 20, 25 years, like you probably not easy to reach them, but you're easy to contact us anytime. Richard will introduce our warranty process later. This 370 module, as we all know, it's got a higher cell efficiency, 9 busbar, low degradation, and it's with the MC4 EVO2 connectors. So as I explained before, it's lighter, shorter, and higher efficiency compared to the others. Also, we got the commercial one, it's up to 450 watt with the 20.7% efficiency. Also 12 years warranty. This new product, the Hi-MO4 new 370 for the 60 cell or the 450 for the 72 cell is a new technology with 9 busbar. The difference between the 6 busbar and the 9 busbar is the number of the busbar become more than the spacing. which is narrower and shorten the current transmission distance of the thin grid, which reduce the loss and improve the output. So M6 is compared to the M2, it's a big innovation technology. Also, we introduced the half cell module, which reduced the power loss and reduced the operation temperature, hotspot temperature by 10 to 20 degrees centigrade. This is our LONGi product roadmap. So the 60 cell one, it's right now for the resident, is stick with 370 watt. The commercial one is already up to 455 watt. The most popular one right now for the commercial is 450. So all of this is monofacial ones I'm talking about. We won the LONGi Australia module as rewarded the top PV brand by the EUPD in Australia. The only other two countries are in Spain and the Netherlands. Also, we are the winner of the TUV Mainland for all quality matters from 2017 to 2019. The future of LONGi, as you all know, you heard in the social media, our capacity for the module this year was 30 gigawatt, and the current one we got information it's already up to 35 gigawatts for the module production capacity, and the silicon wafer product capacity is already up to 75 gigawatts. This is something we would like to let our customer know that how the 75 plus gigawatt is structured. So from number A to H is our capacity, which is in China, and the J and H is another two countries also contribute the module capacity. So at this moment, the total capacity in operation is 37 gigawatt. Also, we got another 7 gigawatt under construction. One of the module bankability we are so proud of is LONGi. We stay on the AAA bankability from Q1 and Q2. We think more than 75% of module supplies claim to be the tier 1 bankable in the PV module technology rating, but only companies with the strong manufacturing, in particular with their own brand module shipments and the financial operates, are scored A grades. So in this point, we are quite proud. And I will leave the rest of the bifacial one to Richard to give us some more introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. So I'll go more into the details onto the product and technology, especially on the bifacial one. So firstly, just an overview of LONGi's bifacial capability. We're actually one of the first manufacturers who developed and delivered bifacial module in large volume back in 2017 with our Hi-MO4 product. And we've shipped more than 5 gigawatts as of, I think, second quarter of this year, which is ranked as #1 in the world. And what we see in Australia is bifacial module, especially in large-scale application, has been more and more popular. And we also supplied the Australia's first ever utility project in Victoria. It's called Corona with our bifacial panel. So here is the structure of the Perk mono and the Perk bifacial cell. You've probably seen this quite often, especially the Perk cell. It's actually one of the most successful commercialization of solar technologies in recent years. One of the great things about the Perk cell is that it can be easily turned into a bifacial cell. You can see that basically what we need to do is to not apply the aluminum backside in this Perk cell. So basically leave the fingers here, so you're gonna have a bifacial cell that you can receive and convert energy from both the front and back side. And here is an overview of our Hi-MO4 bifacial panel from both the front side and the rear side. You can see the color more dark is the front side, and the blue one is the rear side. And if we go to I want to highlight that the main difference between the monofacial and bifacial panel is the frame structure. You can see that on the short frame, this is the short frame. Let me just do the short frame that we call the C side, which is this part, is a bit shorter. The main purpose is to basically minimize the shading from the backside, but we still keep the long frame as the same as the monofacial, because we have to keep the a kind of structure to maintain the mechanical load capacity for the panel. So for this one, we encourage our customer to install and clamp it on the long frame instead of the short frame. But you can still clamp on a short frame, but the mechanical load is much lower. And another thing that is different from the monofacial is that on the bifacial one, we use the double glass structure. We believe that the double glass structure is more suitable for the bifacial one instead of the transparent backsheet. And what we do with the glass, you can see here, is that we use this kind of grid or mesh, we call it mesh glass, that use the white material to fill in the gaps between the cell, so that the light doesn't go through the glass because it's kind of waste that cannot be converted to electricity. With this kind of white material, what can do is that light hits on this and it reflects back to the panel, so that can be used by the cell to convert it to energy. So this is one of the ways to increase the efficiency of the bifacial panel. So basically, when you look at the panel from the front, you can't tell it's bifacial or monofacial. It's all the same, but you only can tell if it's bifacial. You can see from the rear side. So here are some key factors when we are designing the bifacial system. Obviously, this is a diagram showing a ground mount structure with tracker, but it's the same for the rooftop application as well. What we take into consideration is, for example, our ground albedo, which is the reflectivity of the ground, and also the interrow spacing, the axis, the height of the axis, and also we take into account the, for example, the shattered light, and we also take into account the mismatch from the backside, for example. And when it comes to the albedo, here shows some of the typical albedo and typical ground condition. For example, for grass ground, it could be like 7% or 9%. If we have a snow ground, or when we have a tin roof, the albedo could be more than, let's say, 60% or 70%. So yeah, and also this is a kind of the bifacial gain. The corresponding bifacial gain could be more than, let's say, 5% to up to 20% or 25%. So as I mentioned, some of the key factors of the bifacial system design, you can see that there's a linear relationship between the albedo versus the bifacial gain. Obviously, when you have a high albedo, the bifacial gain is going to be high as well. And also the ground cover ratio, which is another parameter that indicating the row spacing. So basically, when you have a higher row spacing, then the ground cover ratio is a bit low. So therefore, you're going to have more gains because the space is more open. You're going to get more reflection from the ground. But when you have a small row spacing where the ground coverage ratio, the GCR is a bit high, then you're probably going to have a lower energy gain from the back. Well, same thing for the height and the DHI ratio. Basically, we have to take into all these into consideration. But when you increase the pitch, the row spacing, or the axis height, there will be some cost increase. Therefore, we have to make a optimal design based on the core structure as well as the detailed site condition. Here is a diagram showing the bifacial gain. That is one of our many pilot projects in globally. This one is in USA. It's a site with the next tracker demonstration. It's built on the 1P tracker and based on a 20% albedo gravel ground and a pretty typical 6.3 pitch and 1.5 meter tracker height. You can see that the bifacial gain at the end of 2019, it's around average 8.3%. And here's also kind of a testament showing the capability of LONGi's bifacial panel. This is the PV magazine test. It's kind of kind of competition between different suppliers and technology. For the first part, this is the bifacial group. You can see LONGi's bifacial panel is ranked on the number 1 and 2, and on the second part of this graph is the monofacial one. We are also on the number 1 of the list. So pretty much you can see that our technology is the performance is pretty good, and it's even better than some of the N-type technology as well, which claims to be have the higher bifaciality as well as the lower degradation. Sorry. Here is another highlight of our product. We basically use the gallium as a dopant for the P-type cell. So typically people use boron as a dopant, but what we do is that I think one of the major drawback or for the Perk cell especially is that there is boron oxygen complex within the cell, which causes the LID and LETID. So with the gallium as dopant, we basically remove that kind of effect. So we can offer a pretty good performance guarantee. You can see here the first year, the maximum is going to be 2% of, and from year 2 to year 30 for the double glass, is 0.45%. So you can see the red area is basically the energy gain that you can get on the bifacial panel versus the monofacial one. And also because of the double glass structure, we believe that it's more, how to say, the reliability is better. So we can guarantee a 30-year of the lifetime of the bifacial. So what we see here is, although on for example, a commercial job that the condition is not as good as a ground mount because you have not that open space, you're going to have limited. You're not going to put a very high angle on that panel, and the row spacing is also quite small probably. We don't expect to have that as much as bifacial gain compared with the ground mount system. But one of the benefit to using bifacial in a small scale application is that this kind of energy gain and also longer performance guarantee. So here, what it says here, what we would like to highlight is we found that the bifacial plus the single access tracker in Australia is actually what we see as the most cost-effective solution in terms of, let's say, the LCOE. One thing I'd also like to highlight is that there is something different on the spec sheet of the bifacial module. What you will see is there is a parameter called bifaciality. It actually means the power from the rear versus the power from the front. So normally for P-type Perk cell, the bifaciality is around 70%. And also you'll see a table here. It sometimes is quite confusing, but what it says that it gives you an idea. For example, when you have a 5% of bifacial gain, what will be the voltage and current? I think the current is more important because you need to check whether the inverter input current can handle this kind of thing when you have, for example, 5% or 10% bifacial gain, etc. When it comes to installation for the bifacial module, this is what we recommend our customer to do. So especially for ground mount system, what we do is that we put the rail on the long frame so that the rear side of the panel does not have any shading. In this case, we can achieve a 5,400, 2,400 Pascal from the front and rear. But for a small scale application, either residential or commercial, small commercial, you probably need a clamping zone that can suit your roof. For example, this is our clamping zone on the Hi-MO4 double glass bifacial. It's pretty wide, but you can see here for the green part, it can handle the snow load up to 5,400. But if you clamp on the yellow area, it's plus minus 2,400, which can apply to most of the wind region A and B. And if you want to clamp on the short side, we have a range here for you, but the mechanical load is much lower. You can see plus minus 1,200. But on red area, we normally do not allow our customer to clamp, but if you have any special application or special the thing that you cannot clamp on any of these clamping zones, please feel free to contact us. We can verify whether it can be done or not. And some other thing regarding the installation, it also applies to other model as well. We've been frequently asked about these questions, so I'd like to share with you in this training session. What is the minimum tilt? So what we recommend is that no less than 10 degrees to enable the self-cleaning, for example. And the minimum cable bending radius, people normally ignore this kind of thing, but it's quite important to maintain a, the good durability of the cable itself. That is 43 millimeter, that the bending radius. And also sometimes people ask about the seaside installation. So what we do is that we do not allow any installation within 50 meters to the seawater. But please do contact us for more information on the corrosion protection. And also, if you're not quite sure about the, for example, the distance towards the seawater, please contact us and we will have a look. And also with the panel, we supply with the MC4 EVO2 connector because the panel is actually rated at 1,500 volt. We do not have both version like 1,500 and 1,000 volt because we want to keep our product simple. It's actually a great way to minimize the cost. So that's why we only have one version, but we also supply the EVO2 connector so that you can make the panel with the MC4 connector because it has been approved by CEC and Stobly. For the monofacial single glass panel, one of the highlights is we used a backsheet with a Tedlar film. So it's the only backsheet that has a 30-year real-life field performance verification. And it's got a high quality and it's durable to protect the panel from the harsh environment in Australia. And we also got a CEC enhanced listing in this case for not only the backsheet but also PID, salt mist, ammonia, etc. Well, actually the post the after-sale service is a big part. So when there is any issue with the panel, please feel free to contact us via either of these three ways. You can go to our webpage under the service. You can see warranty claim. You can fill in the claim here electronically. The good thing about this is that we can receive the application from our in our backend, not only myself, but our team back in the headquarters as well, so that we can give you a quick feedback. And you can also send us an email, also give us a call if you have anything issue on site. We're committed to give response within 1 business day and close case within 1 week. And we will also introduce some labor compensation as well. That's pretty much from me, so I'll hand back to Betty to.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. So that's some bifacial introduction and very detailed from the technical part. Richard is expert in that. I can't talk that much, but I think all of my customer and the BayWa team, you understand what he talked about. This is our Australia team. Actually, there's a lot of people behind us. Behind the screen is Angelus. He's sitting here, organize all the marketing and the co-marketing activities. We got a logistic team. We got sales support team who work very hard, like to support our this year sales. We will have maybe another 2 or 3 more support team in the logistic and the sales support. So provide the customer more detail and our side of support. So we have our office in Sydney, and we got our third-party warehouse in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. So don't worry about your product. We will have some stock here for Darwin. If anything like the BDM and the sales manager contact us, we will arrange it in advance. Yeah, and here is our contact. So I'm based in Sydney with all our Australia team. Catherine is our sales support. Richard will be your main contact window for the product. If anything, give us a buzz. Andrews, of course, he give a big hands. Unfortunately, we can't meet the BayWa team in Perth to organize some nice Christmas party, but make sure we can meet Gonzalo here, have a cup of drink. Thank you for your help. That's all from us. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Question?
Yeah, let's have a look at the questions that have come up. And thank you for that, those presentations, Betty and Richard. Certainly found that all very, very interesting and very relevant for us. I made a couple of notes while you were going through your presentations. Some things that stuck out to me, that resonated with me, is that usually does when I see a presentation from Longi. I think the main thing, just to perhaps re-emphasize here, is that even in today's time in our industry, that quality and reliability still have a very major important role to play for all of us, and trusting the brands that you're promoting, and that goes right through to the suppliers that you choose, and seeing that we have quite a few people that have joined us, hopefully most of you are already trusting that BayWa is a good supplier for you. That also flows through to the brands that we choose as a company to promote. And so the relationship that BayWa has with LONGi, and in fact, we're very fortunate that LONGi has entrusted us not only to promote some of the higher volume moving products, the 370 and the 72 cell 435, which we are stocking in all warehouses around the country. So if you may or may not be aware, we have 7 warehouses around the country. So there's a BayWa warehouse in every state. The 3 main ones being obviously Perth, Brisbane, and in Melbourne. But LONGi have also placed faith in us that we can carry the LONGi name through to be an exclusive supplier for the bifacial panel. So, and for that to happen, we, as a company, we don't make these decisions rather loosely, that we need to make sure that we believe in the product. So for that reason, we're very, very proud to be a promoter of the LONGi product. Just another thing as well, anything that you need in relation to the LONGi product, you can get that from our website. It's a bit of a long one, so it's but you may be familiar with it. It's solar or hyphen distribution.BayWa r.e.com.au. So if you get onto that website, save it into your favorites list, you can get all of the LONGi data sheets, all of the warranty documents and installation manuals that you need. And one final note is that the presentation that both presentations that you've seen here will be available after the session. So if we've got your email address, then you will see a copy of that presentation come through after the session. Just a couple of...
Shall I start, do you think, Gonzalo? Do you want me to?
Oh, yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can't see any question at this stage. There is a nice comment from John. I saw. Thanks, John, for the commendation of LONGi. But I'll share my screen. And what I like when I have to present is that I'm always last, and that I'm always the one who is behind everyone wanting to go. And so I have to rush through my presentation, but I did not trying to have a go, neither at Richard or Gonzalo. They're both really very informative presentation, by the way, Richard. That's really great. It's a fantastic technical information, which we sometimes don't get. I'll go through, I don't have to say too much about the Hi-MO. I think you said a lot about it. I'll give a quick overview what we are here for you, and so who we are. BayWa is, the name might be new if you sometimes look how to pronounce BayWa. There's a really funny video of people trying to pronounce the name. It is it's quite, yeah, have a look. It's BayWa. Some people think the WA stands for WA. It's not. It's actually, BayWa is an abbreviation for Bavarian Trading Company. So started years ago, almost 100 years ago, started in Bavaria, providing farmers with feedstock and fuel and other things. And they started to go into renewables a couple of years ago, and since that have been growing. To give you an idea, we were the 1,000th employees, roughly. Wasn't exactly clear who the 1,000th was, but it was Australia. And in the meantime, that was 2016. Now we are almost 2,500. So it is an extremely important business unit for BayWa, and you can see, and I'm not putting these numbers, we're not putting these numbers out there to brag, but it shows you that the renewable component is an essential part of BayWa as a mother company who does more agricultural work. So then our global presence is, I think, of importance, because from a wholesale perspective, I think the more entities you have, obviously there are volume advantages, and also sometimes you get access like to brands like LONGi. LONGi is an absolutely, I would say, amazing company. And for us to, if I would have been still the small company I was when I started, it wouldn't have been easy to pick up brands like that. So, but with BayWa, it's quite nice to have that global reach and to be taken into consideration. In Australia, as Gonzalo said, we do have multiple warehouses. The ones we operate ourselves are in Queensland and Victoria and WA, and in the others we operate through 3PL. And one other thing which probably differentiates us from other companies is that we are actually a CO2 compensated company. We do quite a lot of work, so it is a bit, we walk the talk for people who are doing this because they believe that they want to have an impact and not just sell solar. For me, it was certainly of importance that we do such things, and that we are not just, oh yeah, we just sell solar, but I think that we also do good things around the world and also try and get rid of our CO2 footprint, which you see more and more where people are promising to be like that in 2030 or 2050, that we have already achieved that. Now, what do we do in Australia? Some of you may have heard BayWa also has a projects division, but that's not us. So you will have heard that we are the distribution arm, and so we do buy and sell renewable energy components. With that, I think what has happened over the years is that we actually have to add more products to our things. In the early days, it was inverters, panels, racking systems, but you will see more and more balance of system components from our side as well. So to become almost a renewable energy electrical wholesaler. The other thing we offer, which probably comes more out of the West Australian side of things, is that we offer solutions, and these solutions often go towards off-grid and hybrid energy systems. That is a bit of a historic thing, because that's something which, when I started the business with a colleague of mine, we were very concentrated on such things to offer actually service. And off-grid is an element, and battery systems was something we were heavily involved in. And we still get quite a few questions from our customers to help them. So that's something we do, I would say, reasonably well. And another thing is, because we have been around for many years, we do know quite a few people. And even if we can't help, we try and bring people together where we say, hey, look, we can't do it, but we're happy to put you in touch. So even if you sometimes have questions, feel free to reach out, and maybe there was something we can assist you with and put you in contact. Another very important element for us is actually, we see this industry as a partnership. Some of you who may be new in this industry, it's an extremely volatile industry. And for me personally, it was always an important part to get to know someone. A business, in my view, is a relationship, and the better you get to know someone, I think the more you can adapt to that person and also offer help and get help. It is a bit harder. It got a bit harder, I have to admit, in our industry, because it is now an extremely fast-moving industry. But hopefully, over time, we can prove to you that we are here for the mutual benefit. What makes us different? We do have these products. You can see it. Most of these products are probably not new to you. You know all these logos. It's more towards the balance of system side. You might not know Perk, for example, which is an electrical enclosure component manufacturer out of Germany. But feel free to reach out. There is a lot of other little items which we carry, which are not on here, and that can be ABB products, which we have, and within the IMO range, we have products which is sometimes hard to explain. But because we have been doing it for a long time, feel free, if you have questions, say, hey, look, can you get this or that? We are there comes my Turkish wheeler and dealer out. So if I can't get it, I'll do get it. So, but that's later, off the topic now. So another thing I think we are really proud about, and a lot of that work has come from Jacob and the marketing team, is the partnership with Global Sustainable Energy Solutions. I think in the early days, solar was about, oh yeah, there's 6 panels and an inverter. It has become an extremely complex, almost energy management type system now, and knowledge is worth so much. And to be able to partner with GSES and say, hey, look, we are happy to offer. We are more of a link, and for us it's more to show, hey, there is actually an organization which can, where you can train, where you can learn new things, and hopefully we can foster that relationship. And we are trying at the moment with the move into our new warehouse in Western Australia to set up a training center and get an approval from them to maybe run training alongside them here, where people can actually touch and feel things. Support, as I said before, we do quite a few things here, be that system sizing. I mean, often we get just a picture of a roof and say, oh, what can you do here? We are able to retrofit systems. We, like that, one of those pictures you see there, that was a hut which we built for our utility here, which we were allowed to call it a utility grade off-grid systems, because it was doing things which the utility needed it to do, which you might think, what can that be? But a lot of it has to go in towards, for example, grid protection and tripping of specific breakers, because it had to replicate a grid. So we can come up with ideas here and offer that as a service if you need any help. In terms of questions, please, you can see here the names, and when we share these slides with you, there is quite a few people you can contact, and if we can't help, we will try and put you in touch with others who can, if you have really tricky questions. Thank you. That's from my side.
Good. Thank you for that, Durmus. Almost re-inspires me to be a part of the country to see that presentation again. So maybe we'll just take an opportunity now to go through some questions that have come up. So thank you everyone who's asked a question. I think there's some of those quite interesting questions there. I'll read them out as I see them. So the first one's from Andrew. I'd like to ask the benefits or reasoning of having white back sheet of the 365 bifacial as opposed to the transparent glass back sheet. So what's the benefit of a white back sheet in the 365 bifacial versus just the transparent glass back sheet? You can answer
yes,
that. Maybe Richard.
Yes, I've actually mentioned in the presentation. Basically, we are losing the light if you have a transparent glass. So by using the white meshed back glass, so the light can be go back into the panel, and the efficiency of the panel is going to be higher. So that's the main benefit by using the mesh back glass.
Yeah. Also,
Okay.
if you carport or you want to make your gazebo at your backyard, you don't want to see the dirt on the top of the roof. Maybe another explanation, like someone so lazy like me.
Okay. Yep, I'd believe that one, Betty. Yep. Great. No, thanks for that. Next question I have here from Ben. Have you got a solution for the cable management with the short frame side, particularly when the installation has microinverters? So if you have to install on the short side, cable
For
management.
then means how to fix the microinverter or to fix the cable. I think
Yes.
we've supplied a panel with a 1.2 meter leads. It's going to be long enough to reach the microinverters, for example. In terms of cable management, there are different practice in the industry. Some of them are pretty good, but if you mean that the short frame, I mean the what we see in the presentation, the C side is pretty short. That is not suitable for clamping. Then we probably suggest that you clamp on the long frame instead of a short one. I'm not sure if that's a question.
I was wondering if that's what Ben refers to as well, because I know that some manufacturers have quite short cables, and we did find out that's why we normally order our panels generally with the long cable,
right,
which reaches to the edge of the panel. So hopefully that is what Ben is referring to. I remember the short frame side, Ben, as well. That was sometimes rather an issue for us. We had a panel in the earlier days which had the same thing. It was a Solar World, doesn't exist anymore. But it was more that people couldn't grip the panel on the short end when they're lifting it up onto the roof. That was sometimes an issue for us. Not sure. Let's see how people react this time to this, to the C frame, what Richard is referring to.
Right, I think Ben had some comments in the chat box saying no ability to use panel clips on the frame. I suppose, yes, that's what I think. That's what I mentioned. The short frame, it's a bit shorter on that side. So I think the best way to do is fixed on the long frame.
Yep.
Okay. I have a question as well. If you have a couple of minutes, I'm not sure if questions are coming in, but with your increase in efficiency, Richard, how do you manage to increase the efficiency continuously? Is it a chemical process you are then improving, or is it the way you cut the wafers? I know you're adding bus bars, but let's say you have now 370. What's the physical or physics limit to the next step when you have to change other things? What do you think?
Well, the major contribution of efficiency increase is from the not only the cell but the weight. Yes, as well. So we put a lot of effort into the R&D. I think the investment in R&D each year from LONGi is 5%, more than 5% of as I mentioned, the major contribution is from the cell. And in terms of the limit on that efficiency, we've seen it's getting harder and harder to get improvement, especially on the P-type Perk. But still, there's something that we can do. There's still space in the room that we can improve, and also to decrease the cost as well. So there's still space in P-type Perk. But we also look at different other technology like N-type or HIT or anything like that.
I think Ben has another one. Ben mentioned the 400 watt, which we never had the 400, but maybe, so Ben is saying they had some issues with the 400 watt bifacial with the cable clips.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if the 400 watt is made the same way as the 365, but.
Yeah, I think Ben is referring to the 400 watt shingle panel. Yes, that one is a bit hard. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Another one I have for you guys is the rear of the cell. For people who haven't seen a bifacial panel, by the way, the rear of cell is lighter colored than the front cell.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
I think it's mainly caused by the passivation process on the cell. So the color, what you see is the passivation, the film that apply on the cell, the layer, different layer that will cause what color it, or what kind of color you will see. So that's the main reason.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Just a couple of more questions that have come up. Question from Ekiard. How many manufacturing plants for Longi are located outside of China mainland?
Right, we have mainly two manufacturing facilities, one in Malaysia and the other one in Vietnam. But the product we supply to Australia are mostly made in China.
Yeah.
And just on that, just expanding that, so would there be, is there a particular module that comes from outside of China, or that's just adding capacity overall to the modules that we see? So
because you know, the states, they have the anti-dumping like taxes. They apply taxes on the solar panels. So we supply the states market by using the production capacity in Malaysia and Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean that flows into, I think, the follow-up question from Ekiard. In what he asks here, how can you supply modules from China be guaranteed if the trade situation between Australia and China would deteriorate? I guess it's more of a political question, but maybe that's already answered by having modules supplied from other parts of Asia.
Well, I don't.
Well, we got the free trade in between China and Australia at this moment. But if anything come, like they add more tariff,
Yeah.
I'm sure we got a backup plan. There's other countries who is already ready if we would like to purchase from them, so it can be avoid additional tariff on us.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. No, thanks. Hopefully that answers Kiard's concerns regarding that. Okay. So Boonsong has asked why only 2 to 3% only. Will east and west tilt installation is better than north tilt installation?
I answered the question from Boonsong regarding the bifacial gain on the roof.
Yep.
Yes, because you know the elevation of the bifacial panel on the roof is quite limited. It's not like the ground mount system, which you can have a quite high and a quite open space. So that's the reason why the gain from that kind of application is a bit lower, around 2 to 3%. And the east-west tilt installation probably is not better than the north tilt installation, because the east-west tilt installation, by using that, it probably blocked the rear side of the panel by on the east is blocked by the west row, and the west is blocked by the east row. So it's better to have a open side on the rear so that it can get more light.
Yep. Okay, good. Thank you for that, Richard. Okay, we do have some questions that have already been answered. I don't know whether we go through any of those. It would be maybe just one or two for the others, which I can see that you already answered this one, Richard, but again from Boonsong, is there a calculator to calculate the gain of reflection on the flat roof tilt installation for the bifacial modules? You can just reiterate the answer.
Yep.
So I think you put the answer there, but I don't know whether you want to expand on that at all.
Right. Yeah, so basically, for example, if you want to design a bifacial system, what people normally do is to put everything into the software like PVSys. And we've done some simulation for some of our commercial customer, for example. And on a tin roof, what they normally get is around 2 to 3% gain from the backside. But also, as I mentioned on Andrew's question, is that some of the benefit for using bifacial module on small scale application is that the degradation is lower. So basically you can have more yield, more energy gained from the panel, and also the 30-year performance guarantee as well. So that's the main benefit of using the bifacial panel.
I think I can maybe support that, Richard, because if you have a look, often leave alone the gain, because funny enough, no one is actually paying for the rear side power anyway, because you're paying actually for the panel to be a glass panel rather, and the encapsulation glass is so much better than having just a Tetla. And as much as what Richard said, that they are using Dupont material, which is probably the best material you can use in the Tetla world, a glass back is still much better than that. And in addition to that, you have two types or two 2mm glass sheets, which makes it a 4mm panel, which again adds quite a bit of rigidity and durability to the panel. So that needs to be almost taken into consideration as well. On top of, let's say, the bifacial is a benefit, but there is just physical benefits to this panel, which makes it a rather very good proposal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Questions come in from John. Is the LETID reduced using glass?
Well, actually, the LTID is not related to glass, but it's kind of thing on the Perk cell. But we have already well controlled the LETID effect, so we don't think anything will happen during the system that we are gonna have LETID. We've got the third-party testing on the LETID as well as LID, and it's well below like 1%, something like that.
Good. Thank you for that.
Good.
I think any more questions coming in? Looking at the time, we're just on that hour. So yeah, any other final questions? You've got an opportunity just maybe in the last minute to put something through. If not, then as I mentioned, that the presentations will be emailed out to you. Contact details for the BayWa team will be on there, and also by all means you can access all of that information from the data sheets and installation manuals from our website. You also have the contacts there for the Longi team as well.
Yeah, feel free just to drop an email or any questions to me or Richard. Yeah, we're happy to answer.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Longi office is in Sydney. So anyone who's calling from the West Coast may just need to make an allowance. Get up 3 hours earlier to get Betty and Richard at 9 o'clock, because after 9 o'clock, then they're all already busy with work. But certainly they're available quite openly, which is the reason why we enjoy working with Longi, because they are so available to us. So hopefully you'll get the same experience. And yeah, any final comments coming through?
I think John just sent another question. Yep. How long have you been gallium doping? Maybe if you have 1 more minute to answer that as well.
It's from earlier this year, I think in March, we've got the authorization from the supplier, the chemical company called Qingsu. And we were able to supply gallium doped technology.
Yep. These are questions which, if you would ask them outside this, like with the Olympic Committee, would be a very bad question, wouldn't it? How long have you been doping? Yeah, but yeah, it's industry specific. On that joke, I think if no one else has something, I'll leave it to you, Gonzalo. To
yeah. Okay. No, thanks for that final remark there, Durmus.
yeah. I saw the bicycle behind you, so I thought, how a better ending than talk about doping when you see a bicycle.
Yeah. Completely clean athlete over here. Like our prices.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that, Durmus, and thanks again, Betty and Richard and the rest of the Longi team for supporting us for this webinar. That's been very enjoyable. It's been great to actually have quite a few people dial in and to get an update as to where we are with Longi. Just to reiterate, we have the stock of the Bifacial 365 in the country. So by all means, to contact your BayWa sales manager to get the confirmation of availability and pricing. And on that note, then yeah, thank you all for joining, and I'm hoping that we can have this kind of forum more and more often into the near future. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.